welcome to the Music Lens podcast with me, Alex Allegra.
And Katie Fee.
We've had some nasty storms here in Nashville recently, so it's been a little cold, so I didn't really know what to wear, which is why I have my comfort sweatshirt on, which is not sponsored, but we are brand partnerships with them.
Yes.
Brand ambassadors, I guess. So if you guys want to purchase any comfort, sweatshirts, pants, we normally have pants on too. I do have pants on. They're just biker shorts. You just can't see them because my dog is in the way. Asher is just currently staring at me, so I don't know.
Yeah. And now he's going a little crazy again.
But if you want to check out Comfort, they have so many incredible things. And guys, they are weighted to help with stress and anxiety, and they work. I don't find that the weight adds a lot of heat to it. It just feels comfortable. So check out Comfort using our link in our Instagram bio. Right. We have 15% off at that link in our description. But we've done a lot. We are so out of order with how we have recorded some things, unfortunately, because of just a lot going on in life. Because we took a trip. Yes. Katie got to come down to some fun music things that I was at, and I was like, hey, you want to tag along with me? And she did. Yeah. So we went to the Hondo Rodeo together down in New Orleans. Coachella has happened. And I have a lot of thoughts on everyone comparing Sabrina Carpenter and Justin Bieber together, and I have thoughts on that. What else has happened? There was something else I was going to mention, but I totally forgot.
I don't know.
Ella Langley is dominating charts with her new album, which I have thoughts on that, and I can't wait to talk about in next month's episode for new music.
Yeah.
How are you guys enjoying how we've been setting up this year's events of new music at the top of the month, special guests? Let us know as well in the comments and such.
Yes, we enjoy your feedback. Yeah.
We have gotten some good comments on just some people saying, we've gotten some YouTube comments and such of people saying you guys are doing great, keep it up. So just want to say thank you guys for the support and just keeping watching. So
yeah. So anything else for the top of episode things, or are we going into it now?
Oh, did you want to do Coachella talk, or do you want to...
I mean, if we want to, we can do it now.
Yeah.
We'll
so
do that with this.
I think it's interesting that people are comparing Sabrina and Justin a lot. First of all, just the fact that it's this competition where I don't know if it needs to be competition, partially just because it's male versus female industry stuff, which always pisses me off. First of all, Sabrina, mastermind of the performances. They were incredible. If you have anything to say other than it was superb, then you're wrong. Sorry. You don't even have to be a fan of hers to appreciate all the effort and work she put into that. It was a monumental show, and to only do it as a festival set is something else incredibly too.
Having a whole show built just for two performances.
Yeah, that's
she played both weekends.
Insane. So. She put a lot of everyone's it's if you give a theater kid a budget, because she has a lot of Bob Fosse movements from different shows, and there's a lot of hints at one was Chorus Line, one was Chicago. She with the chair and everything like that. So she added a lot of different elements for every kind of viewer to be watching, which was incredible. And then she of course did her little cheeky little things that she does just because her songs are like that. So I mean the Juno positions and things of that nature, just so a lot of fun. That's a performance. That is
appearances too.
Yeah, and the guest appearances. So the first week she had Will Ferrell and Susan Sarandon.
Okay.
And the second one was Madonna and Terry Crews and one other person I'm forgetting at the top of my head. And then which I think people were hinting that she might have brought out Madonna. I think there was some hints to Madonna for week one. People thought she was going to bring her out. So upon first look, I was then very disappointed that Justin Bieber just came out and had his laptop on. Right. And then people were praising that. I felt the fact that you were just comparing both of them and was yeah, but Justin Bieber was all these other things. I'm I'm sorry, it was lazy. Like, I understand there was some thought to it because it's, like, supposed to reflect on his, like, adolescence of things.
Yeah.
But it's, like,
You could have done that in a way that was more of a show.
Weekend
versus
2 was more of a show, I felt, than Weekend 1 was. Weekend 1 he didn't even sound like it felt like bad karaoke when he was singing, too. Like, it was bad. Like, and I'm sorry, I think we do need to villainize that a little bit more. Just because, like, some things don't work. Like, some things just don't. Like, I mean, Eric Church has gotten a lot of criticism for his Stagecoach performance that was similar to that. Like, just because Justin Bieber is Justin Bieber, and yeah, we can sing all his songs because, like, we all grew up on them, doesn't make that a great performance. Like, it doesn't. Sorry. Like, so that was my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I saw too much other than that stuff, and then I know Casey played Weekend 2.
Yeah.
So I've seen a little bit of clips of her performance, but not anything too much, just that she played, and her album's coming out soon, so.
I know, I'm excited.
Yeah.
And then we got to go see Hondo Rodeo, which was fun. I've never been to a rodeo before, and some things were a little tough because I have, like, not completely gone vegetarian. I was for a little bit, and then I started eating chicken again. But the cows, when they would rope them up, that hurt me a little bit because I was like, I don't eat cows, and they're getting thrown on the ground. But other than that, I did actually have fun. Like, the rodeo itself actually was kind of fun. I liked, like, the horse racing, like, barrel racing things, and, like, the bull riding was fun. Like, it was just the cow roping that I was like, the poor little baby cows.
Yeah. They always have rodeo stuff at the fair back home, so I haven't been in a while, even though I've been to the fair, just not the rodeo part, but I've seen bits and pieces of rodeos back home and stuff, so not my first time, but I enjoy it.
Not your first rodeo.
Not my first.
Asher is like, what on earth? I'm sorry. But the main reason I was there was for the music, and I mean, Old Dominion I knew was going to be my favorite no matter what, because I love Old Dominion so much.
I didn't realize Matthew wears glasses now. I don't know how long he's been wearing glasses, but that was my first time being like, he got glasses on. So that just kind of threw me off for a second.
But surprisingly, Saturday night altogether was just my favorite night. Cody Johnson, I mean, I have never seen him live. I've never really been too into his music. He was just one of those, like, just because it felt very country, and he was around in a time that I wasn't into, like, actively listening to country music outside of very pop country artists like Kelsey and Casey and the people that I had grown up with. He was just a little outside of when I was,
because he's more Texas
and
country.
He's Texas country. So but oh my gosh, like, it was like, oh my god, I get it. Like, same with Lainey. I didn't listen to a lot of Lainey before I saw her live last year for the first time, and I was like, oh my god, you deserve everything that you are getting. I totally understand. I mean, Cody Johnson just put on a freaking show, and like, and honestly, that's tough for a lot of male acts because they all blend together so much. So, like, no, he put on a freaking show. He just had he looks like he was, like, about to get choked up, which was just, like, tugging at my heartstrings because, it meant a lot to him because I guess he was also a bull rider himself. So, like, that meant a lot to him.
He's lived a lot of lives.
Yeah, it just meant a lot to him that he was there, and he can see this just being there meant so much to him. And then he gave a couple speeches of, like, I don't care who you are, like, just be a good human being. And in a time when, like, especially male country music doesn't have a lot of representation like that, it was so great to hear. So just, like, 10 out of 10 all around, just, like, couldn't have asked for a better performer. The other two nights, no offense to them, they didn't match the caliber of Saturday night.
I feel like they're like, Leonard Skinner was really trying to get the audience to care, but I feel like they didn't care as much as they wanted them to.
It's just unfortunate that Leonard Skinner is there's nothing new coming out of them because all of their members have passed, and they weren't really going to put anything new out even after, like, so it was like, you have the music, and it's like, it's fun to, like, listen to the hits a little bit, and then, like, but yeah, people were definitely there for Jason Aldean, but we did not stay for Jason Aldean, so that was a personal preference of life. So
how was? Did you
Bailey was
stay
good.
For Creed? Or did you leave
I
after
stayed
Bailey?
for a little bit of Creed, but because I was there by myself and I had to walk back to my hotel room, I was like, I don't want to stay out super late.
Yeah.
I also really don't know any Creed songs, so for me it was like, okay, rock band, okay, bye. Like, it just wasn't like. Like, it's an older band. It's like, it just wasn't like what I grew up listening to, so it was kind of just like, okay, like, bye.
Yeah, I basically so I had to work Monday, so we drove down separately, and so I had to leave Sunday. So Alex was alone for Sunday night.
It was. But
yeah, you didn't text me. You texted me when you got there, and then I think I went to bed somewhat early that night. And when I woke up in the morning, I'm like, she never told me she made it back to the hotel.
I did.
So I had to text me like, hey, you made it, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
So.
So, yeah, don't recommend driving 8 hours down, but oh well.
It was fine.
It was fine. So, yeah, Honda Rodeo was fun. We got to look around. The main reason I said, Katie, do you want to come, was because I've never been to New Orleans before. So I was like, well, New Orleans doesn't seem like a place to like just be by yourself. Like, I feel like you need a buddy to like go and do things, which I'm glad I did because, yeah, you kind of do. It's just a very different environment than I was like. Most cities I can do by myself. Like, even like New York and like all that doesn't scare me by myself.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it's also because like there are a lot of people that just walk by themselves in New York. Like, it's just I don't know.
It's just normal.
It's just normal. Like, it just feels like, okay, it's fine. And I'm just very used to like those kinds of environments. But like, I don't know. New Orleans just was a little different.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun though. We walked down Bourbon Street. We didn't really like go into places to listen to music or anything. But yeah, so I feel like we didn't get like the music experience part of New Orleans because we did the country music at the rodeo.
We did the rodeo, and then we
Nashville
went to the Museum of Death,
Orleans.
and then we like walked a little bit down Bourbon Street. And it's partly because I was completely blind coming into the city, and I should have asked people, like, where are some spots to go check out, because we didn't even know. And I came back, and a lot of people were like, I wish you would have told me that, which I told everybody I was going on this trip. So I'm like, I don't know why people just like did not remember. But a lot of people were like, oh, I wish I would have told you about like X places to go, and it would have been fun. I was like, yeah, some things were just driving distance away, and we did not want to move our cars because driving around that city was interesting.
I wanted to turn around and go home as soon as I got there because
there's just a lot of one-way streets, and like I'd sat there for like 5 lights at one point just to get down the turn to get into the parking garage, and I was just like, why is it so like stopped? Like, I'm so confused as to what is going on that we can't get out of the way. Like, I don't know what was going on.
Turn into the parking garage, and the person coming out was just like in the middle, even though there's 2 distinct lanes for in and out, and I had to just back up into the street. And I'm like, this feels like you should be the one backing up because I'm backing up into traffic.
Yeah, I thought Nashville was bad traffic, and trust me, there is bad traffic. Just stupid people here. New Orleans was a different level of like, what the fuck is going on?
There's no lane markings either, so I was like, I can't tell if there's 1 lane or 2.
Yeah, no, it was a little weird, but other than that, I mean, like, it was a good time. I just maybe try something different next time if I were to go again.
If we would have had another day that I was there, and if my feet weren't dying, I feel like we could have went to like the French market
over
and, like,
10 miles
farther down
both
like
days.
past the Bourbon Street area to look at more of that stuff, which there's like a park and stuff that we could have checked out.
See,
but
that
it was just farther down, and like I was in tears by the time we got back to the hotel Saturday because my feet hurt so bad, so there was no way we would have, like, even if I was there all day Sunday, I don't know if I would have been able to walk that far.
Yeah, no, the first day I wore the wrong shoes and had terrible blisters for the rest of the weekend too. I just like don't want to complain too much because it wasn't like a bad trip and I was thankful for the fact that I got to go. It was just like we made some mistakes. So don't make our mistakes if you go.
I guess we could have, I don't know, maybe could have taken the streetcar thing.
Yeah, I would have loved
to help with.
People said that when they went and it was fun.
Much.
Trolley rides were fun. Getting outside and not just doing Bourbon Street was fun. Like, but again, all we could walk. The food was great. We had great food.
Yeah.
Great food. Was happy that we got to do the concert stuff that we did, and then like again, I just think we went a little too unprepared, and I feel like if you're going to New Orleans, maybe having a plan is better than just.
Or if you have more days, I think if you have a short trip, you kind of want to be more deliberate about what you're going to do versus like if you have more days, you have more time to kind of do more of a leisurely type thing.
Because like if you're just going to Bourbon Street, like I feel like the funnest way to do it is to be with a group and to be drunk off your ass. And that was like, it was just Katie and I, and we had a lot to do because I also had to be professional and like, because technically I was there for work.
Yeah.
So I like couldn't just get drunk all day.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we saw some like street performance type things going on, but yeah, we didn't really get any of like the actual New Orleans like music scene part of it.
Yeah. If we would have gone down to a different street, there was like a bunch of like it said like when I looked it up, it was like get out of Bourbon Street, go to this street instead, and it's like very more like pride and jazz and more like chilled version of Bourbon Street. So I was like, I wish we would have gone there instead. Because I thought Bourbon Street was going to be more like, it was like just a more intense Broadway with like the amount of people and
the
like,
fact that you can drink on the street.
Yeah.
I
don't know why I didn't realize that was a thing there. I guess that like is kind of a thing there. But
since we went to New Orleans, we figured we'd do another one in our like music city series. So let's see what
So our episode topic is
New
history, New Orleans music. Woo!
Yes. So I found just like a couple articles which we'll link in the episode description and kind of just like combine a bunch of them for us today. So I wish I would have like listed these instead of just doing the like Command K or whatever so I could see what they're called. One's from NewOrleans.com, and I just liked the intro for that part. So music commemorates good times and bad in New Orleans. Born of both hope and despair, the New Orleans soundtrack is as disparate as the history of its population, fueled by the influx of enslaved Africans to the waves of immigrants from places like Sicily, Ireland, Germany, and, in more recent years, Mexico and Central America. New Orleans is the birthplace of jazz, the city of Buddy Bolden, Jelly Roll Morton, Sidney Bechet, Louis Armstrong, Louis Prima, Pete Fountain, Harry Connick Jr., and the Marsalis family.
Oh, I didn't realize Harry Connick Jr. was that makes sense, actually, when I think about that.
It checks out.
It checks.
It's a place where gospel music achieves lofty heights and marching bands step, dip, and sway down well-worn parade routes. It's a place where Mardi Gras Indians first inspired the call and response, now associated with hip-hop, rap, and bounce. And so I also found one called 300 Years of New Orleans Music, and just kind of got a lot of info from that, as well as the Wikipedia. I was like, what is that word? Although slavery was as violent and abusive in French and Spanish New Orleans as in other places in the South, both French and Spanish colonial governments did allow New Orleanians of African descent some freedom to perform their music, making New Orleans one of the few places in the U.S. where people of European descent could hear and absorb the musical values of the African continent and Afro-Caribbean.
And I guess that makes sense to why they like still kind of honor that with like the street performance things, because I was wondering like if it was like a busking thing or like I guess just like there was a lot of like marching band type performances that were just like, and it just everyone was so gathered around that it seems like such a thing.
Yeah, it's
like
just like been a thing since the start basically.
And I may sound stupid, but I just like I also like, again, I went in completely blind. I really haven't heard a lot of New Orleans. Like none of my friends have really like gone to New Orleans, so I was like until like or like told me about any vacations or anything like except for like one or two like wanted to go for like their bachelorette trip, but like I don't think it happened. So that's why I was like I just don't know a lot about New Orleans, I guess.
The only thing I've really heard was a friend from high school that had gone and like they didn't believe South Dakota license were real or something, so he had an issue of getting his license taken away. Yeah. Anyways, in addition, since enslaved New Orleanians had opportunities to make money and thus could attend European-style musical performances, New Orleanians of African descent could absorb European musical values as well. So from the earliest days, New Orleans was a place where a musician had access to a range of musics, and the style of music played was not limited by the musician's ethnicity. It should come as no surprise, therefore, that in this place the musicians eventually devised a musical style that took advantage of all these varied influences, allowing each musician a voice of his or her own distinct message, and the confidence to jump from the written score, that style being jazz. Wynton Marsalis and others have called jazz a metaphor for democracy, the balance of the individual and with the communal. Maybe this explains why the place where this music emerged looms so large in the American imagination, the land of dreamy dreams. Jazz reflected its hometown, an American place with an impulse for diversity, for all to have a voice, a goal seldom reached but a persistent dream nonetheless, revealed in its music. Within the music lay the potential for freedom for all, and worldwide, people heard and responded to that musical message. Jazz became the logo for an age, the sound of freedom, and New Orleans, as its site of emergence, became forever associated with the music. And so the geographical heart of New Orleans music remains Congo Square, located in the famed Trem neighborhood and now part of Louis Armstrong Park, which is another place that I think would have been if we had another day and if we could manage walking. I know I saw that on a list of things of like go to a park versus just like stay in the Bourbon Street area. Congo Square started out in the late 18th century as the one place enslaved Africans were allowed to gather to hold markets, play music, dance, pray, and socialize. The communal magic that happened there infused the birth of jazz with that spirit. New Orleans had to be the starting point for our story because it's not only where Louis Armstrong and jazz were born, it's also a way to talk about the slave experience and how it influenced American music, explains Judson. I don't know who Judson is. There was nothing in this article that explained who this person was, but that is a quote from Judson.
Maybe like the author?
I don't think so. I don't know. We really wanted to touch on the reality that Congo Square was a dynamic community. We sometimes think of African music as being one monolithic thing, but slaves were coming from all parts of Africa, and in Congo Square, music was the universal language of sharing. Later, the Great Migration of freed slaves brought this new music to industrial cities across America, end quote. So now we're going to get into more of like the jazz part of it, because that's like the one most people think of for New Orleans is jazz, but we also have some other genres as well. When did jazz originate? Of course, jazz wasn't born on a particular day. It was created over time. It was a meeting, a mixing, a melding of many cultures, many emotions, and many skills. Some say jazz grew out of the drumming and voodoo rituals that took place in Congo Square before the Civil War. Others say jazz was born in 1895, the year Buddy Bolden started his first band. So others say it happened in 1917 when Nick LaRocca and his original Dixieland Jazz Band recorded the first jazz record, Livery Stable Blues. But Ferdinand Jelly Roll Morton had his own theory. He said, quote, "It is evidently known, beyond contradiction, that New Orleans is the cradle of jazz, and I myself happen to be the inventor in the year 1902, end quote. So the term jazz, which I guess it originally was spelled with S's instead of Z's.
Oh.
I don't know what the reasoning for that is, but it used to be spelled Jass.
Okay.
Did not become popular until the mid and late 1910s when New Orleans musicians first rose to prominence in other parts of the U.S., and the New Orleans style needed a new name to differentiate it from the nationally popular ragtime. Before the New Orleans style was frequently simply called ragtime, along with such local terms as hot music and ratty music. The local New Orleans dance music style was already distinctive in the 19th century. And by the 1890s, a man by the name of Pori hired a band led by cornetist Buddy Bolden, many of whose contemporaries, as well as many jazz historians, consider to be the first prominent jazz musician. The music was not called jazz at this time, consisting of marching band music with brass instruments and dancing. Many claim Bolden was the first player to play the blues on a brass instrument. The Creole people of New Orleans also contributed greatly to the evolution of the art form, though their own music became heavily influenced by the pioneering work of Bolden. New Orleans-born musicians such as Louis Armstrong, Sidney Bechet, and Jelly Roll Morton all recalled the influence Bolden had on the direction of the music of New Orleans and jazz itself. And then there's also some Sicilian Italy influence. New Orleans had experienced a large wave of migration from the Italian region of Sicily between the late 1800s and early 1900s. As a result of this migration, music of Sicily had some influence upon the development of New Orleans jazz, and this was shown in the group, the original Dixieland Jazz Band. Bandleader Nick LaRocca and drummer Tony Sabarbaro I'm sorry if any of these names are said wrong, were both born to parents who were Sicilian migrants. The band's Livery Stable Blues became the first jazz record ever issued. And there's also Cuban influences in jazz. Musicians from Havana and New Orleans would take the twice daily ferry between both cities to perform. And
I didn't know that it was that close to.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's like fairly close, I guess. Unsurprisingly, the habanera quickly took root in the musically fertile Crescent City. This habanera rhythm influenced jazz syncopation. And the use of brass marching bands came long before jazz music through their use in the military, though in New Orleans, many of the best-known musicians had their start in brass marching bands, performing dirges as well as celebratory and upbeat tunes for New Orleans jazz funeral processions from the 1890s onward. The tradition drove onward with musicians such as Louis Armstrong, Henry Red Allen, and King Oliver. The presence of marching bands lives on today in New Orleans, with musicians such as the Marsalis family doing some of their earliest work in such bands. Have you heard of a jazz funeral?
No, but I know there's like New Orleans weddings with like the big, the band that like plays out of the churches and stuff like that.
So there's a wedding version too.
Okay. Yeah. And there was one while we were there too, like that. We just like didn't see it, but like I got a lot of TikToks of it while we were there. So
okay, yeah. So I did include, before we get into other genres, just a brief thing on the jazz funeral because I thought it was interesting. So when people die in New Orleans, they like to fill the streets with music, a celebration of the people's life as much as a mourning of his or her death. A typical jazz funeral begins at a church or funeral home and leads the way to the cemetery. Mourners are joined by a brass band that plays music that starts off heavy and sad, but soon turns celebratory. Everybody dances. In The Music of Black American, Eileen Southern describes the ceremony, quote, "On the way to the cemetery, it was customary to play very slowly and mournfully a dirge, or an old Negro spiritual, such as 'Nearer My God to Thee.' But on the return from the cemetery, the band would strike up a rousing 'When the Saints Go Marching In,' or a ragtime song such as 'Didn't He Ramble?'" End quote. When the deceased is laid to rest, or they, quote, "cut the body loose," the mourners cut loose as well. Although the majority of jazz funerals are for musicians, anyone can request one, and as long as you're respectful, passerby are encouraged to join in and help celebrate. And there's a quote from Sidney Bechet, which is one of the jazz musicians, saying, "Music here is as much a part of death as it is of life." So that's what the jazz funeral is. But there's other genres as well in New Orleans that have a deep history there. So New Orleans has long reigned as America's first city of opera.
Oh.
Don't know if you knew that.
I did not.
Yeah.
I would have guessed like New York or something.
Yeah.
Because it's like on
Just
the boat.
like...
And then, I don't know.
Okay.
Like early settlers kinds of
Yeah.
things, you know, that's what that was. And because a lot of things originated, like a lot of operas and stuff originated like Germany and Italy.
Well, Italy is...
So, but like if they have a lot of influence down there, which I never knew either. So like that was interesting. So
and French. So, yeah. In 1796, Josephine said, "I do" to Napoleon. Jane Austen wrote Pride and Prejudice, and New Orleans, still under Spanish rule, was treated to Sylvain, the city's first documented performance of opera. It wasn't long before New Orleans became the opera capital of North America.
Oh, wow.
The French Opera House, I don't know.
That's okay.
I'm trying to speak French. Was the center of New Orleans social life from 1859 until 1919, when it was destroyed by fire. Works by European master composers such as Verdi, Rossini, and Bellini had their American premieres at the French Opera House and other theaters in town. So there's opera in New Orleans as well. And then just kind of a whole thing of all the other genres. In the 1950s and 60s, New Orleans music again hit big in the recording world, only this time the recording was done in New Orleans. Like, how does that make sense?
Like, maybe
the music was
recorded
actually
elsewhere.
recorded in New Orleans versus like influenced by New Orleans and recorded elsewhere. Yeah. Some of the best loved American popular music came out of this period from small, locally owned recording studios. The Warriors brought a ban on recordings, and now, tired of war and with money in their pockets from war production jobs, young Americans were ready for new sounds. New Orleans R&B reflected the optimism and youth of the era. Simple, fun songs played by master musicians for teenagers to dance to. Non-threatening, happy music, most exemplified by the artist whose brother-in-law called him a country and western musician, Antoine Fats Domino, selling over 100 million records to fans all over the country and across oceans. Domino reflected the idealized worldview of New Orleans: happy, carefree, uncomplicated. Along with Domino were dozens of local recording artists cranking out the hits for jukeboxes from coast to coast. In Cosimo Matassa's J&M studio, and later in Alan Toussaint and Marshall Sehorn's C. Saint studios, the hits just kept on coming, filling the Billboard charts and rocking the car radios of the rock and roll years. New Orleans may be primarily known outside the city for jazz, but it's also home to a large gospel community. The birthplace of the Queen of Gospel, Mahalia Jackson, New Orleans was one of the first places where gospel was performed within Catholic churches. Today, music clubs, festivals, and even conventions regularly feature gospel choirs. Writings on New Orleans music often overlook gospel, and in doing so miss a major force in sustaining of musical instruction and performance that support the city's music industry. Also, the emphasis of scholars on jazz and R&B in New Orleans often denies the participation of women, who, for example, are active in gospel in all phases, including organization and administration. So then in the 1990s, New Orleans rappers developed their own up-tempo, bass-heavy, call-and-response version of the genre called bounce music. Around the new millennium, local rappers achieved tremendous success that made many of them multimillionaires, and hip-hop became the city's most lucrative cultural export, mainly because New Orleans was home to two giants of the hip-hop industry, Master P's No Limit Records and the Williams Brothers Cash Money Records. These labels spawned an incredible number of international rap stars. Embracing New Orleans musical traditions, New Orleans rappers incorporate brass band street parade instrumentations / rhythms and Mardi Gras Indian chants into the hip-hop collage while becoming a prime vehicle for social and political commentary and community celebration. So, jazz and gospel, R&B and hip-hop, brass bands and rock and roll, the families, neighborhoods, churches, and schools have nurtured and created opportunities for young New Orleanians to find their expression through music. Each generation has used music to express its own distinctive voice, while often giving a nod to those who came before. The sounds coming from the wards and neighborhoods may differ, drawn from the distinct history and experience of the residents, but they all thrive under the second line umbrella of New Orleans music. So that's...
I was trying to be so respectful while you were talking, but like when you said cash money and then when you said bounce music, I just started just bounce.
Okay.
Let me feed that body bounce. Sorry.
But yeah, so there's more to New Orleans than just jazz music. Like a lot more.
Yeah,
and I didn't realize all that history. So.
No. Well, and you can tell just how much history is in that city. Mm-hmm. Like it still looks
It's a very old, I mean, like we had are they called streetcars? or cable cars, I think.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the oldest running cable cars in the world or something like that. And then we went to the oldest bar in the country, or I don't remember if it's country or world.
The Pirate Bar.
But Jean Lafitte's blacksmith pub.
Yes.
So
we tried to see a ghost penis.
or just a ghost face.
But I don't think it was a penis.
I'm
coming for you, 2 girls, 1 ghost.
I took pictures of. It's supposed to be like the you're supposed to be able to catch I don't know if it's John Lafitte, but a ghost face is supposed to be in the fireplace if you like take pictures. So I just like went and I'm like, I'll look at these later.
And we saw
I didn't see any.
We saw a bunch of like people doing tours and stuff. And like that was the one thing is we really wanted to do like a ghost tour or something of that nature.
I feel like you'd want to do that at night though.
Yeah, but again, we were out of time and we were doing other things. So it was like, again, I think we just need to experience New Orleans a second time with like a group of people and like just do different things. And then like, it'll be enjoyable.
I mean,
and
that's my second choice for a bachelorette, but I still want to go to Salem. So
yeah, no,
we'll just go for just a trip.
I think it's definitely just an interesting city, for sure. I didn't realize, I knew it had a lot of music and stuff, and that's why I was like trying to like be very like observant and respectful in that matter, because I knew there was so much history there. But then it was just like, I think I just like over psyched myself out then when we were down there, you know?
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I think if we went where we didn't have somewhere to be at a specific time and stuff, like, because the rodeo obviously took up time since that was a work thing that was required to be at,
like I would have loved to like actually check out some like cool music spots. So if you have any suggestions of where we should check out next time, let us know in the comments below, because we'll definitely have to plan a different trip.
And if you have any fun facts, fun like stories of music history in New Orleans, your own experience with music, or just New Orleans in general, you can send those to us at themusiclenspodcast@gmail.com, or in the comments on YouTube or our socials. And you can follow us at socials at The Music Lens Podcast. You can follow Alex at Axelager Music, and follow me at KDP Music, and we will see you next time. Bye.